अगर आप एक इंडियन हैं तो आई एम श्योर आपने मनाली के बारे में तो ज़रूर सुना होगा एंड आई एम इवन मोर श्योर दैट यू मस्ट हैव थॉट ऑफ विजिटिंग दिस ब्यूटिफुल हिमालयन टाउन एटलीस्ट वंस। एंड अगर आपने इस वीडियो पे क्लिक किया है तो चांसेस है दैट यू वांट टू गेट सम इन्फॉर्मेशन अबाउट हाउ टू रीच एंड द बेस्ट प्लेसेस टू स्टे इन मनाली ड्यूरिंग योर विजिट। एंड ये भी हो सकता है कि आप प्लान शायद नहीं कर रहे हैं लेकिन यू स्टिल वांट टू नो अबाउट इट। Well, दोनों ही सही है and let's get started. So in this video, I'll be sharing two things in detail. One, how to reach Manali, all modes of transportation, and two, the best areas to stay in Manali according to your budget and your preferences. So make sure to watch this video till the end, share it with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe and leave a comment. So, there are three ways to reach Manali. One is by taking a train, second would be by road, which could be a bus or taking a cab, and the third way is definitely via a flight. So, I'm going to talk about all these different modes of transportation one by one. So, let's start with train. So the nearest railway station is Chandigarh, which is the most convenient railway station. That's the broad line. But again, Chandigarh is like approximately 300 kilometers away from Manali. So even if you come to Chandigarh by train, you will eventually have to take a bus or a cab. Now, keeping in mind, I'm keeping in mind that you are traveling from some other part of India, like maybe somewhere in the south or the west or east or northeast, because I've seen a lot of different varieties of tourists in Manali in the past 1 month that I've been living here. So the nearest railway station is Chandigarh, and otherwise the nearest railway station, which is I believe a meter or a narrow railway track, it is Joginder Nagar, which is in Himachal itself. So it's a part of the Kangra Valley railway, which starts from Pathankot and runs all the way till a place called Joginder Nagar, which comes in a place in a district called as Mandi. But train is definitely not the most convenient way to reach Manali. Unlike McLeodganj, about which I made a video a few months back or last year, which is, the nearest railway station is Pathankot. But anyways, so let's quickly move on to the next and the most widely used mode of transportation, which is by road. Okay, so if you are coming from some other part of India, which is not in the north, you definitely have to make it a point to first reach Delhi or Chandigarh, and from Delhi there are a lot of buses, like बहुत सारे buses है. I think there are so many private travel agencies as well as Himachal government buses which run from Delhi to Manali via Chandigarh. So you can either reach Delhi or you can reach Chandigarh to reach Manali, and there are a lot of bus options available. If you have budget, if you are willing to do a little bit of a comfortable journey, you can definitely take a cab, which costs approximately 7,000 to 8,000. Depends on which cab service you choose again, but it could be more or less. But yeah, this is one of the most widely used transportation for by a lot of tourists who are coming from other parts of India. But if you're somebody who stays somewhere in the north, in and around Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, I have seen so many people driving in their own vehicles. So that is definitely very convenient if you live somewhere nearby. The third option is obviously by taking a flight. So the nearest airport is called as Kulu Manali Airport, which is at a place called Bhuntar or Bhantar. I'm not sure what is the right pronunciation. So it's also called as Bhantar Airport. But the problem is, currently what I've checked from the past few days, flights are only available to Chandigarh. And it covers in approximately 50 minutes from Chandigarh to Kulu Manali Airport. And can you believe what is the cost? It is around 20,000 rupees. I mean, that is insane. I don't know who must be even traveling in those flights. So probably it's not the most convenient, but I've read in a few news articles that they are kind of redeveloping the airport, and we can definitely expect more flights from different places, different cities across the world, maybe, because it's a very very popular destination. So these are the three different modes of transportation to reach Manali. According to me, the best way is you either reach Delhi or Chandigarh and then take a cab or a bus. Let's move on to the next. Now, before I tell you what are the best places to stay in Manali, let me give you a slight context about what is Manali in terms of the area. Okay, so when we talk about Manali, it is usually not just the main Manali town. There are a few small villages around which are collectively also referred to as Manali. In the present time, this may not have been the case earlier, many years ago. So there's a place called Vashisht, there is a place called Old Manali, there is a place called Alio, and a village or a place called Dhungri. So these are also referred to as Manali. Now, coming to the next part, which is where you should be staying, I think there are two categories of people. One is you could be a tourist coming here just for maybe 2 or 3 days. That is what the maximum number of tourists do, just for 2 or 3 nights. In winters to enjoy snowfall, maybe for a couple of days if you're lucky. I have been lucky, very lucky indeed. So anyways, or the second category is you could be a traveler or a digital nomad wanting to come and stay in Manali for maybe a couple of months or at least a couple of weeks to 1 month. Okay, so coming to the first category, if you are a tourist, the best place for you would be to stay in the main Manali town, where you have a lot of eateries and restaurants and market to shop and do a lot of shopping and all those things. So that is definitely one option. If you're okay to stay in a kind of busy and crowded place, yeah, there are people like that, right? Now, if you are coming for just a couple of days, but you love to stay in a place which is slightly, sorry for the noise, somebody's messaging me. Anyways, if you love a quiet area, not very crowded, I would suggest you go to a place called Dhungri, which is just 2 kilometers away from main Manali. And that's where I stayed for my first or initial 7 or 8 days. It is a beautiful, quiet place, a lot of good homestays, guest house and hotels. Still not very far from the main town or something. Good and accessible by road as well. But it is really a very peaceful area. So Dhungri is the name of the part of Manali, or whatever you call it. Next, there is also a place called Vashisht, which is about 3 to 4 kilometers away from main Manali market area or the mall road. Vashisht also has amazing hotels and homestays and guest houses. It is near to Vashisht temple and a place called Jogini Falls, which a lot of people do visit when they come to Manali. So yeah, Vashisht could also be a choice if you want to stay a little bit away from the main Manali. But again, Vashisht is like its own place. Even though it's called Manali, it is still a little bit crowded and not completely away from civilization or something like that. It's a pretty decent area. Coming to the next part, if you are a traveler or a digital nomad, you want to come to Manali for a slightly longer time, well, a lot of people end up staying in Old Manali because you have great properties for long-term stays in Old Manali, and I am currently in Old Manali itself. So it is a place which has a slightly different vibe, a lot of youngsters, a lot of digital nomads, lot of cafes, small to a few, I would say, decently sized big cafes. So it has, that kind of cafe culture and a very chill vibe kind of a place. Of course, if you are a digital nomad, you could also stay in places like Dhungri or Vashisht or a place called Alio, which is also a part of Manali. And keep in mind, there's also a village called as Ghoshal, which is around 4 kilometers away from main Manali and could be around 2 to 2.5 kilometers away from Old Manali. It is also a very, very quiet and peaceful area if you're looking for a long-term stays. So just cutting short everything, To the point, if you are a tourist and want to stay in the main areas, main Manali is your place. If you're a tourist and want to stay in a quiet place, Dhungri and Vashisht could be yours. If you're a digital nomad or a traveler, anywhere, for example, Old Manali, Goshal, Vashisht, even Dhungri for that matter. I hope this video has helped you decide in some or the other way that how to reach Manali and where to stay. And yeah, if you have any questions, do leave a comment below. Please let me know how you find this video. Was it helpful to you? If you have any queries, I will definitely reply to you. I am currently in Manali, so you can ask me anything about this place. I will love to help you if I know it.